Happy Sunday. Once again, I am coming live to you from inside an enclosed vehicle. It seems to, more often than not, be a car that I'm sitting in or a fire engine or something. Part of that is because with 4 kids, there's no way to hide from them. They're always banging and asking and tugging and fighting and everything else. So sometimes by getting in a car, closing the windows, locking the door, being in a fire engine, I have some peace and quiet and space to deliver this live episode. So I hope that's okay. Sometimes the scenery in the background's not all that fun. Yesterday we were on the beach, so hopefully that gave me a little bit of liberty to do something different today. Now today we're going to talk specifically about rising freshmen. So if you have somebody who just graduated 8th grade, I think and I hope that this is going to resonate specifically with you, because in my opinion it's a pretty big deal to move from middle school into high school. That's a very important transition. Now I know there are a lot of cultures and religions and other groups out there that make a very specific event or some kind of tradition that marks the movement, the graduation from middle school to high school. There's the quinceañera, there's a bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, there's sometimes just a celebration or a graduation party, sometimes there's confirmation, all those types of things. I wanted to have my own little event, my own little transition event that really captured the attention of my twin sons who have just graduated from 8th grade, soon to be rising freshmen. And I wanted it to get their attention, something that would mark this, what I consider very important, very significant transition. We'll do it again when they transition out of high school, then again once they transition out of college, assuming that's what happens. And then once again, likely, if and when they get married, would be the last of the 4 big transitions. So then what I'm going to talk about right now happens to be the transition from middle school to high school. Now in my mind, I want this to be significant. I want them to remember it. I want there to be a place and time where they say, man, I remember my dad sat me down on this day and we talked about X, we talked about Y, we talked about Z. So I'm going to send a blog, or I'll probably do an episode on what exactly we're going to do. But for the purposes of today, there are a couple of things that I want to mark this significant event, and they're symbolic. You know, we have a family crest in the works that I'm designing. I don't want to give all of the details, just in case my sons who say they would never in a million years go on Facebook, somehow they catch wind of this before the event. I do have a couple of things. I have a book, I have a journal, I have a very special timepiece that's very relevant for what they like and enjoy that I'm going to be presenting to them. And the last thing I'm going to present to them, which I'm going to show you right now, not only do I think is an interesting piece, but it's also very significant with my business. My name's Phil Black. I run an online mentoring company called PrepWell Academy, where I help rising freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors. Hi Betsy, good to see you. Glad we have Betsy on the line. I help them try to make smart decisions about high school, about college, about life, about careers. So part of when I thought about what would the logo be of PrepWell Academy, I thought long and hard about the design and what it should be, and I came up with for my logo an anvil. And I'm going to show you the anvil that I'm going to present to my twins right here. This is what it looks like. This is an 11-pound anvil, and what it represents, in my mind, is a lot of things. That's why I chose it to be the logo of my business, PrepWell. I like to think of somebody transitioning from middle school to high school as being a raw piece of steel. And that piece of steel can be molded, can be turned, can be adjusted, can be turned into a beautiful, functional piece of art. But what has to happen in the meantime? If you're a blacksmith, you take out a big raw piece of metal and you stick it in the hot coals. Oh, that hurts. That represents the struggle. There are going to be struggles transitioning from middle school to high school, no matter what. So the idea of taking that hot metal piece of metal and sticking it in that hot coals to burn them, to get them malleable, that represents some of the struggles that oftentimes kids are going to face when they go to high school, whether it's not fitting in socially, whether it's schoolwork not being as easy as it was. They've been cruising through middle school, now all of a sudden, wham. Whether it's sports competition getting a lot harder, something that they're not used to. Whether it's getting braces, whether it's doing, I don't know, anything. As we know, this transition from 8th grade to 9th grade can be easy, could be hard, could be difficult, could be challenging. So the idea of sticking that metal piece into that hot coals is interesting to me. Then you take it out and you put it on the anvil and you start hammering away at it. You start chipping and bumping and knocking and bending and twisting. See, I have my little guy next to me. Get over here, Dex. I told the audience here that I go in the car to get away from you, and look where you are. Scram, I'll go meet you in the gym in a few minutes.
Dad,
go, go, go. See, this is what happens. I try to get away, I don't have the door locked, and all of a sudden I have my little munchkin around. So let me get back to this. You take the rod and you put it on the anvil, and you take a big, heavy, hammer, and you start banging away at it. And you're twisting it, and you're adjusting it, you're looking at it, and you're sizing it up. And it's not quite the angle that you want, and it's not quite the turn that you want, and it's still got some rough edges on it. So what do? You stick it back in the flames, back in those hot coals. And you take it back out and you twist it and you bang it some more, and then you put it in the cool water, and it starts to form itself, and then you pull it back out again. It's not quite done yet, so you do a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. That to me is the symbolism of what happens when kids are fighting their way from middle school to high school and then beyond that. So that's why I picked it as the logo of PrepWell Academy, because what we try to do is, I don't want to say inoculate, but we try to prepare kids, including my kids, for the good times that are ahead, for the struggles that are ahead, and to understand that they are not a perfect work of art right now. This is a work in progress. They're going to get shoved in that hot coals. They're going to get banged around. They're going to get nudged. They're not going to make the team. They're not going to start. They're going to have a bad grade for once in their lives. They're going to get a B instead of an A. Oh, woe is me. That is the burning and the bending and the twisting and the forging, if you will, of what a human being is. And I think it's going to have long-standing impact on them. In fact, I'm going to hand them this anvil when we have our secret event. And on the top of the anvil will be inscribed 11 keywords. Those keywords are going to represent some of the feelings, some of the thoughts, some of the attributes, some of the characteristics that they're going to have to deal with in high school. Now, I'm going to put those probably in a blog or in another episode. I'm not going to go through them all now. There are things like preparation and friendship and relationships and discipline. Of course, there's got to be discipline in there, and a whole host of other words. And they're going to get this anvil, and I hope, here's my goal, I hope is they get this anvil and they use it as a paperweight. They put it in their room on their desk, and it's a constant reminder that their life is a work in progress, that there's going to be struggles. Maybe for a couple weeks they're in the hot cinders, and then they get taken out. Maybe they get banged around a little bit, but they get reshaped, and they get reshaped. And ultimately, they're becoming a finer and finer piece of art with high utility. I hope that helps. Now, if you're watching me live, Betsy, I'd love to hear from you. I know your kids are a little bit younger. Do you have any ideas? Have you thought about some kind of an event for your son or daughter who is making this critical transition from middle school to high school? Are you throwing a party? Is it a bar mitzvah? Is it a bat mitzvah? Is it a quinceañera? What is it? Or are you giving them anything? Are you giving them a graduation gift? Have you thought about it at all? Are you creating a family crest that has artwork and symbolism for what you stand for, what you believe in? I don't know. Please share them below. I'd love to hear them right now if anybody's on board. If you're not watching this right now and you're watching this as a recorded event, please put some comments below. I want to beef up my event. I have a couple things that I think might be cool, a couple things that are going to cement the day in their heads, but I love more feedback, especially if you've done it before. I have 17 or 18 more days before my event happens, and let's keep this on the down low. If you happen to know my kids, keep it on the down low because it's still evolving. But if you have books, if you have ideas, if you've done something that's been particularly resonant with them, I'd love to hear it, because I really want this particular day to stand out in their mind. And 20 years from now, they may say, I don't care if they say, hey, Dad, remember you gave us that 11-pound anvil, you crazy man? I still have it. And guess what? I reflect on the words that are inscribed on the top part of that. Of course, that would be great. Who knows? Maybe they'll lose it. Maybe they'll throw it in the ocean. I don't know. I'm just giving it my best shot. Like every other parent out there, you do your best. You do what you think is right. How your kids turn out, we have some impact on, but not all. So I'm going to give you one last shot of the anvil. The words have not yet been inscribed yet. And as you can tell, if you go to PrepWellAcademy.com, that is our logo. If you think somebody else might be interested in this, please share this video with them. You can do that by, I think it's clicking that little 3 dots in the bottom and sharing it on your timeline. If you don't want to do that, that's okay too. Tag somebody who has a rising freshman and ask them what maybe they have something interesting that they want to do. Maybe this would be helpful to them. Maybe they haven't thought about it. Maybe they're busy, they're running around for the summer and they haven't even thought about this transition, this important transition. Let's see what Betsy says. Phil, you might want to burn things from their childhood in the ceremonial anvil, but I have to say that the book First Will Have to Row a Little Boat is amazing on how you get through life. Ah, a book suggestion. Great. I'm going to check that out. Thank you, Betsy. Great suggestion. I'm going to check that out. I'm a big guy for symbolism and a big guy for objects. I call them essence objects. Objects that somehow have deep, deep, deep meaning that will last a lifetime. Good seeing you today. Have a great Sunday. I will see you tomorrow. Share, please, if you're interested in PrepWell Academy, where we go through all these things and help teens make smart decisions about college life, high school, and career. Please join us at PrepWellAcademy.com. I have set a goal, which I do with all my PrepWellers. We're big into goal setting, to Facebook Live every single day of the summer. It's brutal. It's brutal. Not because I don't have a lot to say, but because I have crazy kids like this who I get one moment away and they're climbing up the windows. Look forward to seeing you. Talk to you soon.